You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
It is a beautiful July morning, but later tonight I will be catching a screening of The Flash. Welcome to Initial Reactions, where I give my preconceptions about a movie and then my first thoughts about said movie as I'm leaving the theater. Well, this is it. One of the few remaining connections to the DCEU as we know it. After this, and Blue Beetle and Aquaman, complete reboot. Start over from scratch. After 9 years, a revolving door of writers and directors, constant pushbacks and reshoots, a lead actor who went on a literal crime spree, it's finally here. Warner Brothers has hyped this up as one of the best superhero movies ever made. It's got endorsements from celebrities such as Tom Cruise, Edgar Wright, Stephen King, of all people, and the new head honcho of DC Studios, James Gunn himself. All that hard work and effort. And what happens?
Oh no.
I'm going to be honest. I'm surprised that this movie is doing as terribly at the box office as it is. I mean, for one, the critical score is in the same range as previous DC movies such as Aquaman and Joker, and those hit 1 billion. It's actually one of the better reviewed DC movies after Black Adam and Shazam! Fury of the Gods. So why is it doing so terrible at the box office? Maybe the general public is more aware of Ezra Miller's crimes than Warner Brothers would like to admit. Maybe people are just fed up with the concept of a DC shared universe. Or maybe, just maybe, people have had enough of Barry Allen. I mean, the CW show of The Flash just ended its 9th season, so people are likely wanting something new. Not to mention, that show has been on a steep decline ever since season 3. Michael Keaton is donning the cape and cowl again as Batman, and from the marketing, you think he was the main star of the show. From what I've heard, he and Sasha Calle are the highlights of this movie, which is a good thing. I mean, you want your supporting actors to do well, especially an actress like Sasha Calle, who apparently this is her first big blockbuster role. But on the other hand, that kind of speaks volume to the performance of Ezra Miller. Now, I've only seen Ezra Miller in one movie that isn't DC related, and that's We Need to Talk About Kevin. He wasn't like this big standout in Justice League, but he proved that with the right direction and script, he can be a good Barry Allen. Maybe he's just better suited for supporting roles instead of being a leading man. I'm in a position right now where the sun is just really shining down on me, and it's hot, so I'm gonna get out of here, and I will see you after the movie.
What is going on?
All by myself. Imagine, for a moment, you're taking a class. Things started off rough, but eventually you found your stride for a little bit. Then your grades sort of flip-flopped. Some were actually pretty good, some below average. And eventually it got to a make or break point. You have a final coming up. You've studied really hard. You've poured countless hours. You've hit the books. You have given your absolute best into this test. Come test day, you're confident. You know you probably got a couple questions wrong, but by the end, you feel like you'll get nothing short of an A+. Then you get the grade back. You get the test back. The final grade, a B-. That is how I would describe the DCEU and The Flash. If this movie came out in April of 2018 when it was supposed to, I feel like it might have actually had a pretty good box office run. It's no masterpiece, mind you, but there were a lot of moments about it that I enjoyed. Definitely moments that really brought the movie down, but on the whole, it was a pretty okay movie. Maybe that's why DC isn't doing so well. Moviegoers and fans will no longer accept just okay movies. Out of the past 3 movies, only one of them was critically acclaimed and only one of them was a box office hit. What's frustrating about this movie is that it understands the character of Barry Allen. It understands the core of who he is and why he goes back in time. In fact, to be honest, this story feels like the first 2.5 seasons of The Flash crammed into one movie. It doesn't really deal with the multiverse all that much. It pretty much sticks to one alternate timeline, and all the multiverse stuff is basically just cameos. Speaking of which, they don't last long enough to justify their existence. Honestly, the cameos are more in line with those from Across the Spider-Verse than No Way Home. They exist just to be purely fan service. There were times where I actually really loved Ezra Miller's performance, but there were times where he was just annoying, as both Barrys. Barry's realization that he can't save everybody is a key part of who he is as the Flash, and it's something that this movie covers better than most people would give it credit for. I can only imagine the type of conversations that Warner Brothers must be having in their offices right now. They're obviously not going to make a sequel, not with this movie bombing, and also because Ezra Miller is just way too much baggage. But as much as I enjoyed this movie, I am kind of glad that it's flopping at the box office. It sends a message to Warner Brothers that if they want people to come to DC movies, they're going to have to put out nothing but top-tier quality. And maybe this also sends a larger message to Hollywood as a whole. Don't hire actors who the audience don't like. I'm not talking strictly just actors who might have a controversial opinion. I'm talking about actors who are legit public menaces. The likelihood is a bunch of you haven't seen it, and to that I say, it's your choice, but if you want my opinion, then this is a recommend. A light recommend, but a recommendation nonetheless.